Quitting sugar feels hard not because you're weak, but because your body was never meant to live on constant spikes, and the moment you take sugar away, your brain notices the absence before your body feels the benefits, triggering cravings, fatigue, mood swings, and that quiet inner voice telling you to quit. Yet beneath that resistance, something powerful is happening as insulin levels begin to stabilize, energy stops crashing, inflammation starts to fade, and your system slowly remembers how to regulate itself. And once you push past this hidden battle, you realize the discomfort was never the problem. It was the doorway to a level of clarity, control, and balance most people never experience. When you first remove sugar from your diet, the body reacts long before the mind understands what is happening, because for years sugar has been a constant signal of quick energy and instant reward. And the moment that signal disappears, the body enters a state of confusion, not panic, but adjustment, as blood sugar levels begin to flatten out instead of rising and crashing throughout the day, forcing the body to stop relying on instant glucose and start searching for more stable fuel sources. While insulin, which has been working overtime for years, suddenly receives fewer emergency calls. Yet this biological shift rarely feels calm at the beginning, because the brain has learned to associate sugar with comfort, pleasure, and relief. And when that familiar hit is gone, the brain interprets it as loss, triggering fatigue, headaches, irritability, mental fog, and intense cravings that feel emotional but are actually chemical, as dopamine levels dip and the nervous system asks for what it used to receive on demand, making even disciplined people question their decision. Not because quitting is wrong, but because the brain is rewiring itself in real time. And during this phase, hunger signals often feel distorted, with sudden urges to eat even when the body does not truly need food, because it is searching for the fastest replacement. While the gut microbiome, which has been shaped by sugar-loving bacteria, begins to shift as those microbes lose their preferred fuel source and send distress signals that the brain misinterprets as cravings, creating the illusion that something essential is missing, even though nothing vital has been removed. And as dehydration increases due to lower insulin levels causing the kidneys to release excess sodium and water, many people feel weak or dizzy, mistaking this temporary imbalance for failure, when in reality it is the body recalibrating, shedding excess water weight, reducing inflammation, and preparing for metabolic flexibility. As the initial withdrawal phase begins to fade, usually somewhere between the 3rd and 7th day, the body starts responding in a quieter but more noticeable way, because the constant demand for quick sugar energy has eased and the system is no longer being pulled in opposite directions by spikes and crashes, allowing blood glucose levels to remain more stable throughout the day, which changes how energy is experienced, not as a sudden rush followed by exhaustion, but as a slower, steadier presence that feels unfamiliar at first, almost too calm, because many people have spent years confusing stimulation with energy, and now that artificial intensity is gone, the body must relearn what real fuel feels like. And during this stage, hunger signals begin to make more sense as the body starts distinguishing between true physical need and habit-driven cravings, reducing the urge to snack mindlessly, and making meals feel more satisfying even when they are simpler, while insulin sensitivity slowly improves, allowing cells to absorb energy more efficiently instead of storing it as fat, which takes pressure off the pancreas and reduces internal stress that most people never feel but carry daily. And as metabolism begins to settle into this more regulated rhythm, the nervous system also starts to calm, because sugar is no longer constantly activating stress pathways, lowering cortisol levels, and making it easier to stay focused without feeling wired or anxious, which is why many people notice fewer mood swings, less irritability, and a more balanced emotional baseline, even though life itself has not changed. And sleep quality often improves during this phase because blood sugar remains stable through the night, reducing nighttime awakenings, restlessness, and early morning fatigue, allowing deeper and more restorative rest that makes mornings feel less heavy and days more manageable. As the days turn into 2 or 3 weeks without sugar, the changes become more profound, and the body begins to operate in ways that many people never realize are possible, because what started as subtle shifts in energy and mood now becomes more tangible. And the internal systems that were once overstimulated by constant glucose spikes start to settle into a natural rhythm, making it easier to feel steady and focused throughout the day, while digestion improves as the gut microbiome adjusts, to fewer sugar-loving bacteria, allowing nutrients from whole foods to be absorbed more efficiently, which reduces bloating and discomfort and helps the body feel lighter and more responsive. And at the same time, inflammation continues to decrease, easing stiffness in joints and muscles, softening puffiness in the face, and allowing the cardiovascular system to operate without the repeated strain caused by insulin surges, creating a sense of ease that is both physical and mental, while sleep reaches a new level of quality as the nervous system is no longer overstimulated by sugar, helping people fall asleep faster, stay asleep longer, and wake up feeling genuinely rested rather than artificially refreshed. And perhaps most surprising is the way taste begins to change, because taste buds start to reset after weeks of constant sugar exposure, making fruits, vegetables, and other natural foods taste richer, sweeter, and more satisfying than they have in years, which rewires the brain's reward system, as the dopamine spikes once provided by sugar are replaced with the subtle pleasure of real flavors, and cravings lose much of their intensity, no longer controlling behavior or demanding attention, allowing people to approach meals and snacks with awareness rather than compulsion. And as insulin sensitivity improves, the body becomes more efficient at distributing energy to muscles, brain, and organs, producing stable energy levels, sharper focus, and less mental fog, which makes both cognitive tasks and physical activity feel easier and more sustainable, while mood stabilizes, because the emotional roller coaster once driven by sugar highs and crashes is replaced by a calmer baseline, fostering resilience to stress and reducing irritability. And even small lifestyle habits become easier to maintain, because the body no longer depends on external stimulation for motivation, allowing for a natural alignment between appetite, activity, and rest. And the cumulative effect of all these internal adjustments is a quiet but profound sense of control, as people start to notice that they are not fighting themselves or their cravings, but instead living in a state where the body naturally supports clarity, energy, and balance. And the realization often comes that the previous dependence on sugar was never about hunger or food itself, but about the chemical pull of added sweetness. And once this pattern is broken, the body begins to reward choices with consistent energy, mental clarity, improved physical performance, and a deeper sense of well-being that builds steadily over time as the weeks without sugar continue. The transformation becomes not only physical but deeply psychological, because the body and brain have been rewiring themselves for more than just energy management. And this stage is where the subtle improvements begin to compound into something truly noticeable, where meals no longer feel like a source of instant reward, but an opportunity for real nourishment. And the mind begins to experience a clarity that was previously masked by the constant highs and lows of sugar-driven dopamine spikes, while energy stabilizes throughout the day, making it possible to work, exercise, or focus without the familiar crashes that used to dictate productivity. And this steady energy also improves patience and resilience, because the body is no longer reacting to artificial stimulation, but functioning in a balanced state, allowing decisions to feel more intentional rather than impulsive. And as insulin sensitivity continues to improve, the body becomes more efficient at using stored energy, converting fat and nutrients into fuel in a way that feels effortless, reducing the mental preoccupation with food, cravings, or snacking, while the nervous system enjoys a level of calm it hasn't experienced in years, lowering baseline stress levels and helping to regulate mood, which in turn supports better sleep, deeper rest, and more consistent waking energy, creating a cycle where the body is not fighting against itself but operating in harmony. And during this time, inflammation decreases further, softening joint stiffness, easing muscle tension, improving digestion, and reducing water retention, which contributes to a lighter feeling in the body and a more fluid range of movement. And these physical changes reinforce psychological benefits, as a sense of empowerment grows from the realization that cravings no longer dominate behavior, that natural foods provide more satisfaction than ever, and that energy, focus, and mood are no longer dependent on constant external stimuli. And the brain's reward system begins to recalibrate fully, finding pleasure in wholesome foods, simple movement, and natural routines rather than sugar-driven peaks, allowing a more sustainable relationship with nutrition to emerge, while subtle improvements in cognitive function become evident, because the absence of blood sugar swings reduces mental fog, sharpens attention, and enhances memory, supporting both personal and professional performance. And this is also the point where many people notice emotional stability, because the hormonal roller coaster once amplified by sugar is replaced with a more regulated internal environment, making stress easier to manage, mood swings less frequent, and patience more accessible. And as these benefits accumulate, allowing decisions to feel more intentional rather than impulsive, and as insulin sensitivity continues to improve, the body becomes more efficient at using stored energy, converting fat and nutrients into fuel in a way that feels effortless, reducing the mental preoccupation with food, cravings, or snacking, while the nervous system enjoys a level of calm it hasn't experienced in years, lowering baseline stress levels and helping to regulate mood, which in turn supports better sleep, deeper rest, and more consistent waking energy, creating a cycle where the body is not fighting against itself but operating in harmony. And during this time, inflammation decreases further, softening joint stiffness, easing muscle tension, improving digestion, and reducing water retention, which contributes to a lighter feeling in the body and a more fluid range of movement. And these physical changes reinforce psychological benefits, as a sense of empowerment grows from the realization that cravings no longer dominate behavior, that natural foods provide more satisfaction than ever, and that energy, focus, and mood are no longer dependent on constant external stimuli, and the brain's reward system begins to recalibrate fully, finding pleasure in wholesome foods, simple movement, and natural routines rather than sugar-driven peaks, allowing a more sustainable relationship with nutrition to emerge, while subtle improvements in cognitive function become evident, because the absence of blood sugar swings reduces mental fog, sharpens attention, and enhances memory, supporting both personal and professional performance. And this is also the point where many people notice emotional stability, because the hormonal roller coaster once amplified by sugar is replaced with a more regulated internal environment, making stress easier to manage, mood swings less frequent, and patience more accessible. And as these benefits accumulate, quiet confidence arises, born not from deprivation but from the body's ability to function optimally without reliance on constant sugar, creating a lasting shift in habits, perspective, and self-awareness that strengthens the foundation for long-term health, focus, and balance, proving that the effort to endure the early discomfort has been met with lasting, tangible reward. After several weeks without sugar, the changes in the body and mind become even more profound, as the systems that were once overstimulated and constantly reacting to spikes in glucose now operate with a quiet efficiency that feels almost natural. And one of the most noticeable shifts occurs in how food tastes, because taste buds have recalibrated, making fruits, vegetables, and whole foods taste richer, sweeter, and more satisfying than they have in years, which rewires the brain's reward system and reduces the compulsive pull that sugar once had, while cravings for processed or sweetened foods fade, no longer demanding attention or overriding hunger cues, allowing people to make conscious choices rather than reacting to chemical signals. And energy becomes consistent in a way that is steady but not artificial, no longer dependent on sudden sugar highs, which improves focus, productivity, and the ability to engage in both mental and physical tasks without the familiar crashes or mid-afternoon slumps, while insulin sensitivity continues to improve, letting the body distribute energy more efficiently and reducing the strain on the pancreas and other organs, which supports overall metabolic health and contributes to better long-term weight management. And sleep deepens, because the nervous system is no longer overstimulated by sugar, helping people fall asleep more easily, stay asleep longer, and wake up feeling refreshed rather than groggy. And as inflammation in the body continues to decrease, joint stiffness softens, digestion improves, and even minor issues like facial puffiness or bloating diminish, producing a lighter, more comfortable physical state that reinforces psychological benefits, because the body no longer feels trapped in cycles of discomfort and artificial stimulation. And mental clarity becomes pronounced as the brain adapts to stable energy levels, reducing fog, sharpening focus, and enhancing memory, while mood stabilizes, because the hormonal roller coaster once driven by sugar is replaced with a more balanced baseline, allowing emotions to flow more smoothly and stress to feel more manageable. And over time, people notice a sense of empowerment and control over their own habits, Because the dependency on sugar has been replaced by a relationship with food based on awareness, choice, and natural satisfaction, rather than compulsion or chemical reward. And this newfound control spills over into other areas of life, improving discipline, resilience, and confidence, while also making physical activity feel easier and more rewarding as the body can access energy stores efficiently and sustain effort without needing quick fixes. And in this phase, the cumulative effect of all the internal adjustments, from reduced inflammation to stabilized energy, improved sleep, sharper cognition, and recalibrated taste, creates a state where the body feels lighter, the mind clearer, and life overall more manageable, proving that the long, difficult early stages of quitting sugar were not deprivation at all, but a necessary path to reclaiming balance, vitality, and a sustainable, empowered way of living. And these benefits continue to grow steadily over time as the body maintains its new equilibrium. And as these changes solidify, it becomes clear that giving up sugar is not about restriction, but about unlocking the body and mind's full potential, creating lasting health, energy, and freedom that no quick fix or sweet treat could ever provide.